wanted to do this video to kind of just explain. I know you asked me some like super great questions, and kind of just go through the basis of everything that we do, the background stuff that goes into preparing it. Because what we have found is that a lot of people want like this discipleship, they want the curriculum, which is great. But as you know, if you just distribute curriculum, there's so much that goes into it behind the scenes as far as
Right.
how do you actually execute this to be successful. And so
Totally.
we feel like we've gotten a pretty good hand on it. We've been doing it since July of 2018. And so a lot of times people will ask us, why Brave Life? Like, what is the difference between Brave Life and a growth track, or Brave Life and small group curriculum? And I would say that Brave Life has a way, if we could break it down into two different things. Season 1 is all about developing that relationship with God outside of a Sunday. And the reason being is it's not just for new believers, which a lot of people are like, oh, that means that half of our church doesn't need level 1 because they're already been serving God and all this stuff. But we found that so many of our core people just don't have these spiritual practices in their life. And so level 1 is all about that, the spiritual practices, the deeper development, sexual purity, financial freedom, like kind of all of that stuff in one. And then level 2 is more so like the breakthrough, freedom. You're ready to lead now. Like, let's get rid of everything that has like been temptations and different things, show you how to overcome those things so that you can be strong in the leadership abilities that God's called you to. And so since July 2018, we've had 566 people come through this. And the reason that we are so intense about this is because we believe that this is, first off, creating committed people, which every single church needs, because they're committing to 20 weeks of intense discipleship where they have to come for another service. This does not take place of their Sunday morning service. We say, you know what, this is a completely different thing. You need to be here, and you also need to be at a normal service. We set some pretty high expectations for them. They are only allowed to miss 3 times. And at the 3rd time, we talk with them and kind of give them a little bit of a grace with 1 more week. But we really want people that are not going to be flaky, that are going to show up every single week. Right. And we also say with that, you know, it's not just for us that we're doing this, that we want you here every single week. It's that through you being committed to this, you're going to get the most out of it. And we want to see you experience transformation, because if you don't, then you're not going to want to keep coming back for more, you know? And so we do that. We have them serving on a team. So most every single person that goes through Brave Life, we're like, hey, get connected somewhere on Sunday. Just holding a door. Okay. We want you to be doing something. We also make it so that they have to, be held accountable in different things. And so we just say, you know what, the more vulnerable you are, the more you'll get out of this again. Every single person has a coach that's over top of them, and they are in charge of 10 to 12 people. Some weeks, some of the guys groups tend to be smaller because we have some guys that are ready to lead, but that often works better for the guys, where we'll do like 5 to 6 people in their groups. And girls are just like an open book, so they'll just let it all go. But guys, sometimes they're harder to break. And so we'll split it up like that. Some ways that we do promotion and sign up. I just want to like briefly explain just some of the back stuff and then let you guys ask the questions. If there's something that comes up while I'm doing this, you guys can just like talk, cut me off so that we don't like miss it. But some promotion things, we try to start promoting actually 8 weeks out for Brave Life. So typical promotion, you do like 3 to 4 weeks. But with Brave Life, because of so much about beforehand planning that goes into it, as far as like splitting into small groups and doing different things, we found that a lot of people will still wait till the last minute, but at least we'll get some people in the first beginning weeks. So we do an 8-week promo where we have tables in the lobby, where we have signs, pull-up banners, different things like that. We're making on-stage announcements. We're doing some different things like story videos, testimonies, people whose lives have been changed through Brave Life, doing recap videos from the previous season. Basically anything to create excitement, we try to do that. We'll do some live testimonies where we're like, hey, this is so-and-so, bring them up during our welcome and say like, you don't know them, but they just went through Brave Life. What would Brave Life do for you? And just do everything we can to try to get them excited and signed up for that. And then always have a team of people. This has been the biggest thing, because anybody can be passionate about like discipleship. But if you're not willing to like go chase after people are not wanting to take their next step in this because they're like, all they hear is 20 weeks long. I don't want to do something for 20 weeks long. That's a long time. So you have to have a team of people that are like willing to take initiative and just like headhunt, and like constantly they're standing out there like, hey, have you done Brave Life yet? No, you haven't? Awesome. Well, why not? You know, and it's just that question of why not, that a lot of people can't answer. And that usually gets a majority of our signups. Yeah.
Time out. So you're speaking to this as, you started in July of 18.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been through how many times?
We've been through 3 seasons. 3 seasons.
So first season,
mm-hmm.
You don't have these stories. You
right.
don't have this type of people.
Yep.
Who'd you run through it first, or where, so launching is going to be different first time than it will be second time.
Yes. So for launching is super important. What we did is we said, if you are on our core team, if you're in any of our serve teams, if you're any of these people that have been here for like 20 years, whatever, whoever is a part of this church, we all need more. And that was the approach that we went out. We all need more. In order for us to get to the level that God's calling our church to go, we need our core people to get on the same page. And so our first season going through this, it was kind of setting culture exactly of what we believe, because we found that, everybody has different beliefs, whether they've been a part of your church for 5 years or a couple days. We want to make sure that we're all under the same page, under the same hat and covering. And so a lot of this was just kind of reaffirming the culture and belief system of our church. And so I know like Growth Track can do that in different ways, but this is definitely more intense and more specific for that. So, yeah.
So you didn't demand it of them, but it was high pressure.
Yes.
If you're going to be,
yeah,
you're going to do this. Okay.
Yeah. And we definitely had some pushback as far as like people that have been in the church for longer than our church has even been Brave. I would definitely say there was some pushback, but now going through 3 seasons of it, we've gotten like all of those people that have been kind of on the fence about it, and then they just finally like joined in and said, you know what, I'm going to do this, and their life's been changed through it. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would be like the way that we went about it at the beginning. As far as like group separation, we've done it a couple of different ways, but what we've found to be the most effective is to keep, it's always split up guy, girl. And then it's also, we found that it's most effective to keep people of the same age demographic together, because they're going through the same stages of life and different things like that. We've tried just doing it random, letting it be, but we use Planning Center to be able to do all of that. We do our registrations through Planning Center. I'm not sure like what platforms everybody uses, but we do Planning Center registrations, and then from there they have a super cool feature that as long as you enter in their gender and their age on their, when you register them, then you can separate them into groups right off of the registration app. And so it makes like your life way easier, because you can set boundaries on the groups by saying like, hey, I want everybody that is a woman that is between the ages of 20 and 30 to be put into this group. And so it makes your life easier. From there, you can see if you need to like split the groups because there's just too many things. What you kind of have to remember is start somewhere. We didn't know how many people we were going to have joining in for our first time through, but we needed to start somewhere and get some core people that believed in this for us to be able to take off from there. And so our first time through, I believe we had like half of the people that we're producing now. So it was like a smaller number for sure, but it was worth it to be able to do that, just to get people on your side, excited and ready to carry what it is that you're doing. So, but do that through registrations. That'll save your life. And then the next thing that we do is coach selection. So for our first time through, when we were promoting it, we didn't necessarily have a group of people that had read through the curriculum that we had believed were really like all on the same page with us, except our staff. And so for our first time through, only our staff led groups. And that was the only way, our staff, and then we had like 2 like core people that basically are staff. They volunteer like they are staff. And we had them lead groups, and they were then in charge of finding someone within their group that was ready to lead a group the next season. And so they were always looking for who's that leader, who's really getting this, whose life is being changed by this, and you can see it in their actions. And they were able to like recommend them and do that. We also, at the end of Brave Life 1, at the end of Brave Life 2, then they are able, the people that go through it are able to decide, you know what, the whole purpose is to get them serving in a big scale, like leading, not just serving, but leading something. And so we have them go through Brave Life 1 and 2, and they're able to become dinner party leaders, which is our small group, life group kind of thing that meet outside of Sundays. They can become begin teachers, which is our growth track, where they, for new believers, first time guests, they teach those classes. And then the last thing that they can do is become a Brave Life coach. Now we've had to become more selective as far as the Brave Life coach, because we still have some people that go through it and they think that they have a solid understanding of their faith, but they're just not there yet, you know? And so you kind of have to be wisdomatic with that, because they are like discipling now your new core. Every single time a Brave Life group comes through, they become our new core people. So we're constantly growing it so that we can expand and build campuses later on. And then everybody's under the same vision and the same ideas and things like that. Every single week before service gets started, we do a coaches meeting, and basically what we do is it's a little training. So we go through and we'll say like, hey, this is what you're talking about in small groups today. This is some ways that we want you to approach this topic. And we make sure that in that meeting, we are setting our coaches up for success. Because sometimes there will be one person that shows up to the group. Other times it'll be everybody that's there. But it's a lot of sometimes like flakiness, jumping back and forth. And so we just have to prepare our coaches to be ready to handle that even one-on-one encounter, which some people are like really uncomfortable with. And so we'll go through, say, this is what you can talk about. We then spend the next 15 minutes just in intense like prayer, believing that God's going to do something great through that. Something we require of our coaches is that they're in contact with their people all throughout the week. So if someone in their group misses, they're responsible to get them back for the next week. And so we really kind of take the pressure off of the leaders of the Brave Life, the pastoral staff, and unless they're leading a group. And then we say, you know what, you are shepherding them, you are pastoring them, you've been through our curriculum, you believe this, so now we're raising you up to go do that same thing. And so we will go through that, and they'll be responsible to get them back. They'll be in the communication with them. If I have a question about something or something that might come up, I go right to the coach first. And because they know them best. And so we encourage one-on-one interaction. We do let them have like a group chat or group text, but we say just make sure you're going above and beyond that group text. We want intentionality with this, especially since you're just over 5 to 6 or 10 to 12 people. Those are your disciples right now. Like those are the people that you're building. And so, yeah, it's a 10-week discipleship course. We typically will take a break in between both of them. We are deciding whether or not we're going to go year round, but as of right now, we're doing a season 1, and then we'll take like a month off and then do like a season 2. And we'll try to rotate as many times through as we possibly can. So last year, we did 2 full seasons, which produced us a majority of our leaders that went through that. To do that, our biggest thing out of Brave Life is getting small group leaders, is getting dinner party leaders, because we want to take the city more. And so that is that. We meet at 4 p.m., so it's not just a normal service time, but we do it on Sundays. Some people have asked, like, hey, do you think it would work as a midweek? Our culture in Miami, I don't know that a midweek would work. People just don't come out in the middle of the week because traffic, and it's just too much to get here on a Wednesday night for them. But a midweek might be great for people that are in a different area. So I would say like totally could be used as a midweek for sure. I think it would be great. It would be powerful. It's a different service and a different atmosphere. And that's like the great part about Brave Life, is it really is a different feel than just a service. So I would say the approach that we've had coming into it is that it's almost like a praise party. And so we don't really take the moments of like the intense worship, just like intimacy, like breathing in with God. But what we do is we use our worship portion almost as like our excitement and our gathering and our praise, and we focus solely on the praise part. And we'll do like 2 praise songs, And then from there, we will go into a teaching. We'll split Brave Life 1. We'll go to one auditorium, Brave Life 2 to another auditorium. And we'll sit there and we will do the teachings. We'll go through what the book has. We have different people that communicate that. Right now, it's a team of like 4 of our pastors that are teaching, but could definitely be expanded in different ways. And so 4 of our pastors, and we rotate through, teach the topics. And then after the topic is done, it's only like a 20 to 25 minute teaching. And then from there, we split into our small groups, which is the majority of what we do. So that's the 45 minutes that we sit there and we talk. So all of Brave Life is wrapped up in an hour and a half every service that we do. But the 45-minute time is like the intentionality, like, hey, let's break down this topic. We don't want to just be preaching to you. We want you to regurgitate this so that it becomes a part of who you are. And so what did this mean to you? How are you feeling with this? And it gets intense because you go through topics of breaking generational curses, going back to, you know, things that have been strongholds in your life for so long that you didn't even realize, oh my gosh, this is why I am the way that I am, and I need to get free of this before I can do anything great for God. And so it's really the intensity with that is built in your small groups, which is why it is so important for your Brave Life coaches to be people that are filled up in the Spirit. That's like the biggest thing. It's definitely not for anybody to do. And then, yeah, at the end of those, we do the graduation, which I kind of talked about. What we do is we have everybody rent cap and gowns. They can rent or buy them. We do it from graduationoutlet.com. It's like the cheapest thing that I can find. And we have everybody do those. They get their cap and gown. Some people go all out. They'll decorate their caps. It's like super cool. Some people, it's their first time ever graduating anything. And so we do a whole ceremony where we play just this happy, upbeat music. We announce their name and where they are going to lead. So if they're going to be like a dinner party leader or a begin teacher or a Brave Life coach, we announce that. And then they walk across the stage, get their diploma, pause for a picture, walk off, and they stay in their gowns the whole service, sit in service at the end. We move the whole tassel and we celebrate them and do something big, have commencements, you got lots of balloons, like just extra things for the kids on that day. Just a huge celebration that Brave Life people have graduated because they've made it through 20 weeks of intense discipleship. And so, yeah, so that is like a lot of what we do. I know I just talked a lot, but if you guys have like any questions with that or anything that you, just want some understanding with, we can do that. So.
Yeah, great. That's super helpful. So you run the Brave Life 1 and 2 at the same time, you said?
Mm-hmm.
And then you split up until the graduation ceremony happens. And then if you wanted to do Brave Life 2, you wait until the next round, which is about a month later.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So that is why, again, our Brave Life coaches are so important, because during that month time span, we expect the people that have been through Brave Life 1 but are waiting for Brave Life 2 to still be in contact, those coaches to still be in contact with them.
Okay.
So the coaching kind of never really stops. They're kind of holding them accountable throughout the whole time until they can get to level 2. But that has been the biggest issue. There definitely is that struggle of that drop off, but people that don't want to come back, because it's just been a long time. So that's why we've been going back and forth, like which way is the best? Do we need to do this like year now? Because especially if you do Brave Life 1 on its own, and then you wait till Brave Life 2, there's going to be people that are wanting to do Brave Life 1, but now have to wait an entire 6 months to get into Brave Life 1 for it to start again, which slows down your process of developing the leaders. And so that's why we run them together.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So once again, on launching, you're only doing Brave Life 1.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then the next time. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's best. Some people would say, like, can I just skip to level 2? And we say no, like, go through level 1. It'll be worth it for you, and get to level 2. So. And what we found too is even there's like some people that are like, I've been here forever. I want to do level 2. I don't want to do level 1. But we found that those people, if we were to make an exception for them, would get to a place of leading. And it would become like a prideful situation where they just know everything. And so we also like to use level 1 as kind of like, you know what, God, like, we're not humbling them, but God, you humble them through this, and you get them on the right page and get them ready for leadership. So, yeah.
How many people do you have per season? If you guys have done 550 in just a few,
Yeah.
what does that look like?
Yeah. So we have done our first ever Brave Life one was 150 people. And so that was, we were super excited about it, but we found those were our core people. And so when we came to do Brave Life one again, we were like, oh, what's this going to look like? Because our numbers are going to dip significantly since we only took from our core last time. Now we're targeting like first time guests and people that are like new within the past year,
Right.
trying to get them to do this when they don't really even have like a faith relationship necessarily. And
Right.
so the second time through, our Brave Life one was lower. I think we had like 100 people in that one. And so, but we still had the 150 going through. So now we're at like 250. And then this last season that we just did, we had a total of 300 people, 275 people in there. And then we had some hit or miss from there. And so I would say it depends really on the base of your core. If you're going to make that a requirement for what you guys do at your church, that's what we kind of did, was make it a requirement, but not like a forced requirement, but just like said, hey, if you're serving, we expect this of you. And most people honored that. So yeah.
And do you guys have space at your campuses where after the teaching, I'm sure it's like auditorium style, right? Where you have everybody sit, and then what did you do groups?
Yeah, so our groups, we split them up literally everywhere. And so we shut down the church. We found a lot of people try to, like, because we have so many services all day, people want to stay and hang out at the church the whole time. But for Brave Life, like everything shuts down for Brave Life. And so what we would do is we would split them up. We would go to the kids wing. They would be all in, we'd have a group in kids classes. We'd have the kids auditorium where we have like 5 or 6 groups meeting. The main auditorium where we can have up to 12 groups meeting, and then just every office. There was like no office off limits. We just used every room that we possibly had. We even used the lobby at times. And so we just kind of threw groups everywhere, but we just made sure that everybody knew, like, hey, church is shut down. If you're not here for Brave Life, sorry, like this is for Brave Life people only, and almost made it like a VIP kind of thing, which also made people like intrigued with what Brave Life is, so that they could be, but yeah.
Childcare. Did you have
childcare? Yep. We have teenagers do childcare during that time, which has been a debate with some people. But I would say if we can get an adult in every room, then we do that. But the first time through, there was no way possible to do that because everybody that served in our kids teams, we wanted them to do Brave Life. And so if they wanted to do it, we were going to tell them that they couldn't because they had to do childcare. So we only had teenagers do it at that point. Or we hired to be people to do it. So we literally just picked up a babysitting company, Miami Babysitting, and we asked if they could come for an hour and a half every single week. And so we did that. But what we found is when we hire teenagers to do it, they do a good job. We take their phones, and then they watch the kids just for the hour and a half. And we put money towards like their camp or something like that. So we do have a budget for Brave Life childcare where we say like, hey, if you come serve, you'll make $15 for this hour and a half, and it can go towards your camp or your youth convention or something like that. So kind of a way to get the teens back integrated into the church and serving. So, and a reason for them to be there on Sundays as well. So, yeah.
And I think I asked you this, I'm sorry if it's a repeat question, but is there a cost for Brave Life?
Yes, I totally forgot about that. So we charge $15 per Brave Life. And we don't charge any more. We started at like 25, I think, and we found people just were not signing up. And we really didn't have a reason to charge 25, except that we wanted people to be invested in it. So we wanted them to feel like what you put money towards, you'll be invested in. But because we weren't getting like people signed up for it, we're like, you know what, we're going to drop it. $15, people spend that in 2 meals or a meal, sometimes at McDonald's. Okay. And so, we said $15 and it just covers the cost of the book. It's a little bit more, but that goes into our childcare budget. And so we get the books printed professionally. And I think they're like $9 to make or something like that. And then at the end of Brave Life 2, when they do the graduation for cap and gowns, they pay for those. But we do have now, the first time through, we didn't have any available for rent, but the second time through, we had people that should return theirs. And so we'll just like Lysol them, and hang them. And then we have ones available that people can rent from there on, especially because you'll get families that are going through Brave Life together. And so they'll be buying like 4 of them, which is $25 a piece, which we don't want like them to go bankrupt because of this. So yeah, so we have a rental option for 15 or buy them new for 25 and they get to keep them. Another thing I forgot to say is we used to have teenagers do Brave Life. We wanted, like, of course, like all of our kids to do it. We've narrowed that down to just high school students now, because we've found that the middle schoolers, they just like weren't ready for it, is what we found. Like even in Miami, kids are exposed to like a ton here. But we just found like, even with like the sexual purity talks and things like that, the parents just didn't necessarily feel most comfortable with us being the people like developing that. And so they wanted to have those conversations, which is totally understandable. And they're in middle school. Some of them are like 11 years old. So we get that. So we just decided, you know what, from here, we're going to do high school. And since only high schoolers can actually lead a dinner party anyway, it didn't really make sense to have the middle schoolers go through it yet. So we did put that age limit of high school on it now. So.
And then if people do Brave Life 1 and then take a season off, can they come back and do Brave Life 2 later, or does it have to be right after?
Yeah, we've let them come back and do it. We've had people get pregnant, family members pass away, different things like that. And so as long as they're coming back, we'll do it, but we definitely like evaluate where they're at. And a lot of times if people do come back after taking a season off, it's because they're like really hungry and they're ready, finally. And so sometimes people even say, hey, I did level 1 and I really didn't care for it, or I didn't get into it. Is it okay if I do level 1 again? And we're like, yeah, do it again. We even have people that have graduated 1 and 2 that have kind of just like backslidden, and we've like taken them out of leadership and just said, hey, like, we want to keep working on you, you know, and they've even come and we've said, you know, we've recommended, hey, maybe you should do Brave Life again. You know, maybe you should take that through. We'll let you do it for free this time. Like, maybe you should just go through this again, you know, because we want to always remind them that we are just like, we're so focused on developing them, you know, and that's the whole point. This is like the next step, the end all be all. This is really like, not like that there's like levels of your spirituality, but this is like the highest point of tier you can get to before you're leading like a ministry. And so, yes.
Do you guys have prerequisites for people that do Brave Life? Like, do they have to be a member or complete I think you called it Begin, the growth track, things like that?
Yeah, so ideally everyone would go through Begin, the growth track. But we found that some people go through it and we'll say, okay, like sign up for Begin this month, because we run in monthly cycles. We actually do it every 2 weeks now. And so we would say like, hey, you can do Brave Life, but here, sign up for Begin, get it done, do it, because Begin is like the basis of our church, you know, and the serving and why we do what we do, everything about just our church in general. And so we do want them to go through that first. We have found some people slip through the cracks, but we also put on our registrations, like, have you completed Begin, yes or no? And then in that first week, as registrations are coming in, I'm checking with those people and saying like, hey, like, would love for you to complete Begin. And some people reply, some people don't, and do it. But it's just like tracking them down and being intentional with them. But we definitely don't say like you can't do it, but that's ideal, is that they would do it. So yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So any other questions? What do you think?
I think I might have more. I had one and I lost it. Whenever you guys graduate all the Brave Life people and you're getting them involved in the areas of service, what does that process look like, connecting with like the staff leader or coach or whoever that's in charge of that area?
Yeah. So Begin is our big serving. So like those are like the Sunday services. So like youth, kids, parking team, guest services, cafe, all of those things, greeters and things. Those are all funneled through Begin, and then they're plugged into to a team lead from there. But as far as getting them into like dinner party coaching, Brave Life leaders, all of that. We have them fill out a graduation form. Like it's one of those mandatory forms, like put your full name, what you want to be announced, what you want on your certificate. And then also we have them put three different questions. And we make them sign up for 2, because ideally every single person that goes through, we want them to be a dinner party leader, and then maybe a Brave Life coach, or maybe a begin teacher as well. We found the more that we get them connected and almost like demanding of their schedule, the more they're just bought in and they don't get lost after Brave Life. And so from there, we have them fill out like their options. Would you like to be put in order the level of which ones you want to be. And then from there, it's sent directly to, I get the Brave Life ones, my husband gets the begin teacher one, and then our dinner party, Bianca, she gets all of the dinner party people that want to do that. And then they're instantly contacted from there. So it's then put into the court of those 3 people to really get them plugged into the level that we've developed them to lead through these 20 weeks. So, and I think for dinner parties, for small groups, we have them like as soon as Brave Life ends, dinner parties launch. So there's throughout the whole year, they're always in groups, whether it's a Brave Life group or whether it's a dinner party group. And that's super important because we found like as they lose community, or even if we take like 2 weeks off, people just get lost and we just need them to be in a group. And so that's another thing that happens or that helps with the break. When we do that, there's always like dinner parties that are happening or small groups that are happening. So, but as that happens, once they graduate, since they coincide with it, we then partner them with somebody that's been leading a dinner party. And so they have like co-partners. So they're going through and they're just kind of figuring out like, hey, this is what a dinner party should look like. Let's, even more through this season, let's lead this thing together. And then the next season, they should be ready at that point to lead by themselves. So,
yeah. And then do you use your Brave Life graduates for any sort of like pastoral care or marriage counseling or that kind of stuff in addition to those other areas?
We haven't. We have on staff counselor that does like all of that stuff. But I would say that would be an area that you could for sure. Anything that would take them to like the level of, the goal is by the end of this, you have been discipled, now go make disciples to whatever cost that makes. And so, yeah, I would say if you have things that you're just not comfortable with the volunteer leading, but you need like a pastoral, like shepherding, but you're not on staff kind of thing, use Brave Life,
right.
So, yeah.
And for the graduates, once they're serving in those areas, do you have any form of like accountability or just kind of check-ins to make sure everybody's doing well in their marriage, doing well in their walk, like those kinds of things?
I would say we haven't done that. But news just spreads like wildfire here. So if something does come up, then that's like where I would have that conversation. But the goal is that they're so connected to community that those stories are far and in between nowadays. So there definitely has been those where we've had to just say like, hey, heard this was happening. What's going on? We love you so much. We got to figure this out, and we've had those conversations and we've, some of them have stepped down, and we've just said, hey, you can't leave for a season, and that's where we've had those conversations. Let's do Brave Life again, or let's go talk to Ellie, our counselor, and let's get this figured out, So it's definitely whoever is in charge of Brave Life, I would say you are dealing with a lot of people's junk, as far as like having the person that's okay confronting that and going from there, because you don't want corruptness, in the people that you're discipling now. So, yeah. Totally.
And do you guys have like a set standard in your either begin or Brave Life of like, these are the requirements, like, like no smoking or no overindulging in drink or like things like that, those are the non-negotiables?
Yeah. So those are, we have those for every serve team. So that would apply to this as well. And so, yeah, there's like no premarital sex, no smoking or drinking, no, trying to think. We have like a whole list of it laid out, but yeah, we definitely have those expectations, and that's what makes it easier as far as to hold people accountable, because we're like, hey, dude, like you signed this, like let's go through it. This is what you committed to. If you can't commit to that anymore, that's okay. We still love you, but we're not going to lead, So Yeah.
When is that stuff given to them? When they go over that?
That would all be through graduation. So, yep. So that last week of graduation, they would hear about all of that, but as soon as they get plugged in, so not at graduation, as soon as they get plugged in to then take the, like if I was going to select 5 people to join the Brave Life coaching team, that's when I would sit down and go through it with them. Same with Begin, same with dinner parties, before they ever start leading actually there, within that 2-week time span that they have, like that gap, is when they're meeting with the pastors then and saying like, hey, this is what you've got to commit to. So yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And then as far as with you running Brave Life, is that like your full-time, that require the full-time work, managing other projects as well?
So I was doing kids ministry. I was the kids pastor and doing Brave Life at the same time, and then helping in youth with my husband. So I would say Brave Life is not a full-time job. No, because you're not doing, if you do it year round, then yes, it would be. But how we're doing it seasonal right now, it's not. And so I definitely have other time. And so with that, I'm the next step pastor. So I am in charge of follow-up for every first-time guest, every salvation, all the way making sure that everybody gets integrated, essentially like assimilations, making sure that every person that walks through our door is getting through Begin, Brave Life, into a dinner party, into a serve team, all of that. So that is like my full-time role. But Brave Life in itself, if it's just like a director, somebody running it, is definitely a part-time position. Yeah.
Okay. And then what do you guys find that there's like a certain time of year that the 10 weeks fall best? Like, do you avoid major holiday seasons or?
So a lot of churches say people disappear in the summers. Summers have been our best, actually. I don't know if that's because we live in Miami where it's warm all the time, so maybe people aren't taking like as many vacations. I'm not sure. But summer has been our best. But I would also say leading up to the holidays was our next best. As far as well, not leading up, it would be right after, so in the new year, because that's when people are ready to like do a new thing, you know. So we usually do 21 days of prayer and fasting in January, and that gets them amped up, and the whole like last 2 weeks we're pushing like, hey, sign up for Brave Life, sign up for Brave Life. And then on February, right in February, we start Brave Life. And so that has been like a huge win for us as well, and I would assume that would be like the best for most people, just with so many people ready with their New Year's resolutions, ready to get right with God, like all of those things. I would say that's probably the best. Yeah.
That's great. And then do you do 10 weeks consecutive no matter what, or are there some weeks where you'll take a time off?
So no matter what. So we will start in February, and when this first season ends, it'll end right before Easter. And so we'll do February. Brave Life graduations will be the Sunday before Easter, and then Easter happens. So it is like a lot of different promotion stuff, because we promote Brave Life graduation big, and we promote Easter big. And then we also, sometimes if there's a week in between, we'll do like Brave Life graduation and then baptisms that following week, so that people can just like put that, like solidify that right then and there that they did this and went through this season. And so I don't think on Easter we're doing it, but the following Sunday we'll be doing baptisms after that. So we always try to incorporate baptisms around there. So yeah.
And then you guys have multiple campuses, right? So this is all campuses meet together?
Yes. So right now all campuses meet together. Ideally we would have Brave Life at both campuses, but we have to find a location that would work for our second campus right now, because we're in a movie theater. And so right now they all come to the main campus, which is not ideal, because then people want to stay at the main campus and they'll drive the distance. Our campuses aren't too spread out. So we really, really are pushing to get that at their own campus. But what we do in the meantime with that is we only put people from the same campus in groups together. So we'll make sure that we have Brave Life leaders that are from that campus leading only people that go to that campus. So we try to keep the community there. So yeah.
That's great. That works. We have campuses that are both of them are about 20 minutes away from our main location.
Yeah.
And so it's close enough for that people to come every week, but also kind of wondering if you saw less people come from the other campuses because it was more of a drive for them.
Yeah, so we haven't had, I would definitely say it's been a struggle to launch it so far because they're not seeing it on the big scale, because our movie theater campus definitely is a smaller feel. It's still building and things like that. It's been open for a year. So it is different. But what we found is that the people that just like the Kendall campus are going to stay at the Kendall campus. But we've had some people that have jumped back and forth. But we encourage everybody, like, stay at your campus. They make the drive because ours is like 15 minutes, I think, apart from each other.
Okay.
And we've had people do it. It's just a lot of new believers at our Kendall campus. And so they're not completely like, why do I even need this? You know, so we're still training them
Right.
and why you need this. So yeah, I would say that's the different dynamic.
Are all staff required to come to Brave Life? Is everyone involved?
Yes. So everybody leads a group. Yep. At our staff, everybody leads a Brave Life group and everybody leads a dinner party group. So we're doing 2 different small groups year round. So, yes.
Did you say you didn't do dinner parties when Brave Life was going on?
Yeah, I think there's a few weeks that overlap, but for the most part,
Okay.
it's separated because the idea is just to have community year round. So.
Sorry for the million questions.
Oh, I love it. Good.
This is really good. You keep saying things that sparks more questions, and I got the curriculum. I haven't had a chance to look it over yet, but it looks pretty intensive. And so, as far as getting that all together, was that something that you guys carved out time to do as like other staff or as a core team? How did that fully develop?
Yeah, so I would say so we took a basis of it from another church that was doing something similar to this. And so we've kind of compiled that from a church in California to a church of the Highlands to different things that we kind of like combobbled together and then put our culture on it and just said, you know what, like, this is what we believe, made sure that everything is just biblically what we believe. And so as far as a team of people doing that, I actually just developed it, took the different parts together and then put our touch on it. And so that was a huge part. Like, that was a full-time job for sure. 15 months to do that. And there's even still things to this day, some things that I'm like, oh, I want to change that in the book. So like, as you go through it, you'll just like kind of see like, oh, we could make this better. So I think that we'll probably even update them again this time. But as soon as it was all developed, then I took that went to our executive team, and then they looked it over and made sure just anything else from there. But the basis of the work, I would say one person can do it, and it kind of works better that way because then it's the same like voice speaking through the whole book instead of like multiple voices kind of speaking in different ways. So, yeah.
And then Pastor David kind of give you like, we want to make sure we hit these topics in this order, or was it more fluid?
Yeah, there wasn't really order to it. It was kind of based off of the best that you feel like it will go. And that's kind of the things that you'll see as you go through it, that maybe you're like, oh, I would have put this here and there. I would say there's no definite like order that it needs to be. And that's kind of the things that I'll be changing this time through is some of the order. As far as things, but really the first one should be all about like the spiritual practices, developing like the basis. And the second part should be the freedom and breakthrough part. So, yeah.
That's great. That's really good. I think that helps a ton. Thank you so much. It's really helpful.
Yeah.
There's a lot to think through.
I was just wondering, you had mentioned like something about some forms, you know, that you used. Bianca had asked a question about, question about, you know, how they know to go into Brave Life or whatever. I think it was like possibly before graduation. You said you asked them like 2 questions. Is that like a form that you have that you guys have already made that you pass out to them? And do you have that? Does that
we have it on Planning Center? It's a Planning Center form. So it's off the People app. And I can send that to you guys. I can send you the link of it, and then you guys can look that over and see what stuff you guys want for it. So yeah. Basically, anything that you guys need that as you're going through setting this up, if it's not like laid out, if it's more than just curriculum, just shoot me an email or a text and I'll make sure to like get you guys the links for it. like we said, the whole point of this is we want to build the church on a big scale. And so it's been working. We've seen like revival breakout. We've seen people that we never believed would actually make it and become some of our core people. And so that's the heart of this for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For people that miss a week, you said they can miss up to 3.
Yeah.
Do you have like a makeup assignment, or do they just go through the curriculum on their own? How does that work for you guys?
Yeah, so we haven't done a makeup assignment. That's something that I think would be a great addition to this, as far as like, because they're missing, like every single week is a different topic. And if you miss it, like you kind of feel out of the loop. And so what we've been just relying on is our small group coaches, our Brave Life coaches, to fill them in. But I think that's an incredible thing that could be done. I'm not sure where we would do it, trying to think, but that would be a great thing to do. Something we would love to do eventually is get our teachings online and different things like that, just to keep for our in-house group, because that wouldn't work for everybody. I definitely think that there's benefit to your pastoral team and your leadership team doing the teachings, because you have that relationship with people. But that would probably be the next step of where we would go, is make these like available, to certain people. If they miss, we have a video that, hey, this is the teaching, let's go through it, so yeah.
I was gonna say, is there like a rough percentage or number of classes that Pastor David teaches himself, or do you rely mostly on your other staff?
Yeah, so right now Pastor David is preaching all 4 services between our 2 campuses. So he's running back and forth all day. So we have tried to limit him. He would preach all of them if we would let him. But we have definitely said, you know what, just for you, let's make sure that you're doing only a few. So we try to do 3, but for sure we have him do the first one to launch and get everybody excited and ready for it. And then we have him do the last one, because then he's launching people into like their leadership roles. So for sure the first and the last. Sometimes we'll do 3 or 4 in a season, but you have to think, every time you go through it, there's 20 total teachings. And so because Brave Life wanted to do it at the same time. So for sure, I would say it's majorly your teaching team that is doing that. So yeah. If you get to a point where it's like, okay, we need like some excitement, some like just fired up ampness, that's where we like are like, okay, hey, Pastor David, it's midway right now. We feel like people are kind of backing out a little bit. They're not completely bought in. Hey, can you come and reinforce this voice? And so we kind of play it by ear a little bit. We'll set the schedule perfect. But of course, if there's like a season or like a week that we just feel like, hey, it's been a slump, because that will happen. I mean, it gets repetitive.
Audible.
And then, we'll bring him in and we'll be like, hey, all right, fire him up again. Let's go, and so.
Totally. It's great.
Yeah.
And is he there himself every week?
No. So the weeks he's not teaching, we will make sure like, hey, just go rest, get ready for the 6 o'clock kind of a thing. So we do.
You guys have the 6 o'clock service as well.
Yeah. So we have a 10, 12, and a 6 at our Westchester, and then 11 a.m. at our Kendall. So yeah, by the time Brave Life comes around, he's already preached 3 times. So we want to make sure that we spread that out for him.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to them all. There's so much.
No, and as you go through more, like, feel free, reach out by email. I'm back now, so that's something for sure that we can go through, and we can even pull from each other, as things work better at different places. Like, it's a collaboration for sure. So yeah.
Hold it. Your source for printing, is it just a internet-based company, or is it somewhere local?
It's somewhere local for us. We have a guy that has done the best deal for it, but we make it like a full like magazine book. So it's like a thick cover and has like the pages in it too. So it's an actual like binded book that we do. So.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Bianca.
Thank you. Nice to meet you guys as well. Thank you, Whitney.
All right. Bye. Talk to you guys soon.